Welcome back to the MJ Gooner Talk Show, or a podcast, however you say it. But today it is going to be another topic, another very controversial topic that I do want to go over it. Of course, it's the topic about the controversial calls over the weekend. There were so many controversial calls over the season, but particularly last week. But before going to that, this is not a daily upload. I know I uploaded the welcoming session, the self-introductory thing in the last episode, but that doesn't mean it is a daily upload. But again, I will upload quite frequently. I don't know how frequently I'm going to upload, but again, at least twice a week, if not once a week. But again, it really all depends on how the game goes and what kind of news are revolving around the footballing world. But the first topic we're going to talk about, again, it's a VAR call. So, I think for the past 48 hours, we've got quite a lot of news from the PGMOL, the official website for the match officiatings, all the referees and stuff. And, of course, Howard Webb, the former referee. Of course, he is pretty much quite famous for his, being the 12th man for the United back in, the early 2010s or late 2000s. I remember that, I still remember that time. I still remember Howard Webb. I'm a little surprised that he retired early. But again, I think right now he still does quite a bit of the behind the scenes stuff in terms of, coaching or officiating the referees. But the call was very controversial. Let's talk about the game against Arsenal versus Brentford. Lee Mason was behind the studio that day. And we all know Lee Mason from the game where we play against United. We have our first goal disallowed by Lee Mason. It was a little bit of a nudge from behind from Odegaard, but it wasn't strong enough to be given a foul on Eriksson. But in the end, Paul Tierney was on the I think was the official for that game. But looking back at that incident, the fact that Martinelli scored a amazing one-on-one. Again, it's a very tough play at the same time, being pretty much muscle out, muscling between himself and also Luke Shaw. And what a great through ball by Odegaard in that play. But the fact that that goal was being ruled out literally changed the course of the game. I'm not going to say that, hey, Arsenal score or Martinelli scored that first goal in the United game, equals to the outcome where Arsenal is going to win the game. That's not what I mean. The whole thing, I meant that, if Arsenal scored the first goal, the whole atmosphere, the whole outcome of the game would have been different, whether it's a win or it's a lose or it's a draw. It doesn't matter, but again, it's changed the tide of the game, it's changed the probability, the outcome of the game, and that's what Lee Mason did in the in the United game. Okay, you know what? We moved on. We took our first L of the season, and later on, there were quite a lot of controversial calls against Arsenal. Southampton, I remember the defenders for Southampton keep fouling, pulling down Gabriel Jesus. They weren't even going for the ball, and there could have been at least one or two penalties in that game. Wasn't given. And what are the games that we drop points? I think, the Newcastle game, obviously, I know there's a handball towards the end of the game. I don't think that was strong enough to be given a penalty. The handball wasn't strong enough to be given a penalty. But then the pull shirt from Dan Burn on Gabriel, that one should have been a penalty. It was very obvious the fact that the referee, the referees in the studio didn't ask whoever was officiating the game, go to the monitor and look at it again. Honestly, it's quite daunting, the fact that how Premier League officials are officiating the game right now. Not just for Arsenal. Certainly there are a lot of teams where I felt like they should have been, they should have gotten a penalty. They should have gotten, the goal should have been stood, should have been, ruled out whatsoever. I know, there's a bunch of controversial calls over the season. And I'm not just saying this because I'm an Arsenal fan. I want all the results go to our way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just stating the facts that as an Arsenal fan, I felt like those games or those poor officiating could have that change the outcome of whatever it was. But there's one the foul on Gabriel Jesus against Liverpool, where Arsenal won 3-2 in that game. I felt, that was a little bit soft. I don't think that should have been a penalty. In the end, a 2-2 draw would be fair, but honestly, at the moment when we got the win, everybody just took it because, again, we barely beat Liverpool for the past few years, and it was just a good feeling where we actually beat a very good team back then. But the game against Brentford, that one literally pissed me off because the fact that it was not of a systematic error, but it's more of a human error, and that's what the PGMOL has stated as a human error. They admitted it as a human error, which led to the VAR not fully investigating an offside call for Brentford's equalizer against Arsenal. And it's all over Twitter. I know for the past few days I haven't been on Twitters because the fact that knowing City won, United won today, Liverpool won as well, and Arsenal just didn't get the point. That part makes me feel like, you know what, I don't want to go on to any other social media because I'm going to get on it no matter what. And I don't want any of those toxic environment, affect my mental behavior. So I decided to stay off that. But for the past day or so, I felt better in a way. So I felt like, you know what, go on Twitter and try to see what's up there. And that's the first thing I saw. It's a human error. Lee Mason allegedly forgot to draw a line on Jensen Norgard, which is very, very, very weird because the fact that there was a whole investigation on the first one, the build-up that led to the goal. It was, I think, Ethan Pinnock. I think he was kind of shielding, Gabriel aside, affecting the play. But of course, that one looks borderline. You could probably call it, or you could have probably not called it. It's a bang call. It's a 50-50 play. But then the goal, the assist to the goal, that one was a problem because I just couldn't understand why the Ethan Pinnock was a play that was in doubt, but not the one what Norgard did. And that literally pisses me off after reading the news because of all the years, the fact that having VAR in the game, it's to make the game better. Of course, at the same time, we can't really celebrate at all, when the goal scored because you never know whether the goal is going to be stood or not. But that's the reality of it. VAR simply did not always, come and rescue. Doesn't quite give us the the equality in terms of the outcome. And that one, well, I don't always blame the system, like the systematic error, but a human error is pretty much saying that you didn't do the job right. Correct? Like the fact that Lee Mason forgot to draw a line on a more important play. And I was just wondering, in the studio, there must be somebody who's gonna, like, it's not just Lee Mason himself. There are other, referees in the studios, and there's so many monitors in front of them. There's no way you only have one monitor, in a Premier League game. And the fact that you can't, spot or forgot to draw a more important line there, that shows how, I'm not saying like Premier League referees are corrupted, but certainly they are not good enough to be refereeing the game. at all. And certainly I don't want to, keep go overing it, because there's no point at the moment because we lost. I mean, we didn't win. We drew. We dropped points. We dropped 2 important points. We could have been, 8 points clear after that game, but because of that, travesty, because of that call, we didn't get it. We didn't win the game, simply just like that. And Arsenal wasn't playing well that game. And as a champion, I felt like, if we want to truly establish as a champion, I felt like we should have, in a crappy games like that, even scuffing away with one goal, like scoring a very scrappy goal, just one goal, and got a clean sheet in the end. That should be like a winner. That should be like a champion, telling in a way. But I felt like right now VAR are not even helping Arsenal at the moment, which was very, very frustrating. Very frustrating to say. And simply Arsenal do not have the unfortunately do not have the ability right now. Like, honestly, I'm feared for them. I'm not saying that we're favorites to win the league anymore, because I felt like we dropped, five important points over the last 2 weeks. And that was pretty much, the game on Wednesday. Tomorrow is going to be a decider pretty much. Well, it's not really a decider, but there's still a lot more games to play. The fact that the first 19 games that Arsenal went, I believe we went, 16, 2-1. Honestly, it was really good. And for the next 2 games, we lost 1, we drew 1. Pretty much we have to, win the rest of the campaign. And it was really tough because we still have to play City twice. We still have to play Chelsea, Liverpool, and Newcastle away as well. So that's going to be a problem. Again, I'm not dissing anybody, but I'm just saying that they are so controversial. At one point, they're not properly using the material, the technology that was given to them, and that was the problem. And I know it happened elsewhere. The Chelsea game was completely ridiculous. No matter how much I hate Chelsea for the transfer, for the past couple of weeks, but honestly, I felt for them because Thomas Souček, there's no way it wasn't a penalty. He slid. Okay, he's trying to block the ball. That's fine. The fact that you put your hand down and change the direction of the ball, it could have been a goal. To be honest, you would never know. But the fact that the referees didn't acknowledge that one as a penalty was a very bad one. So, and of course, I know there's another game at Brighton as well. But, I mean, there's no point, at this point, there's no point of, apologizing for the mistake, because the game has, ended, and there's no way you want to replay the game or, take the goal out of the game. It's impossible. Right now, all Arsenal have to do is to focus to the next game, which is the City game. And I want to talk about who's going to start for me in the City game. So, pretty obvious. I think we might make one change possible. Ramsdale's still in goal again. I don't think last game he was. I think it was okay. I told you guys that about the goal he conceded. I felt like it was a weird way to concede. Back four is pretty much the same. You could possibly put Tomiyasu in, but I think in the last game Ben White was fine. But you know what? If Tomiyasu comes on for Ben White for the game, I'm totally up for that, because I felt like we need a little bit of a different dynamics in the game, different way of playing. And the middle three has to be the same: Xhaka, Partey, and also Odegaard. And the front three is going to be a very interesting one, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me. This time, we still stick with Saka on the right-hand side, and we have Nketiah up front, and also, actually, we're going to put Trossard on the left wing. There's no way you're not going to put Trossard at this point. The fact that Martinelli has been underperforming for the past few games. Certainly worries me. At the same time, I'm not going to be worried about his future development. I'm not worried about that. But of course, I'm worried about his form. And I felt like he has been playing a lot. I don't know if his fitness is shattered from all these games that have been played. He went to Brazil. He played a couple of games, I believe so. But even after that, he's been pretty much playing every single minute, even in the Europa League and FA Cup, or even in the what's that called? Carabao Cup. He did play. He played a lot of games this season, but I felt like right now he is way below subpar. What we wanted him to do was completely different than what we expected him to do. So I think he should get a rest, and instead Trossard certainly earns that starting lineup. Playing as the left wing, scoring that beautiful goal. Again, as I said before, it was a very difficult finish. The fact that the ball just kind of bounces in a very unpleasant position. The fact that he somehow just kind of knocks it down and score on the empty net. That was a very good finish. And we also have a news where Erling Haaland picked up an injury, apparently something to do with his thigh. I don't think it's a big concern for City. They were winning by 3-0, but Erling Haaland has been hooked after that injury, that knocked. But I doubt it was going to be a significant injury, which I assume City is going to play their strongest lineup. You got Mahrez, KDB. I don't know who's playing on the left. Maybe Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, and that is going to be a hell of a game. Definitely not a season decider, because I know how Arsenal is. I said it many times before. I know how they are. I know what their mentality is. I know for the past few years we haven't been having a lot of success in the second half of the season, and it is going to be a tough game. Even, for example, if we beat Man City on Wednesday, we are 6 point clear with the game in hand. But Arsenal can be very unpredictable at times. We're playing Aston Villa on Saturday morning, their afternoon, 12:30 kickoff time. And I think they only have 2 full days to rest. So in terms of the fitness, that is going to be an issue for Mikel Arteta and also the whole medical staff. So again, like I said, if beat Man City, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, we beat the second best team in the league so far, but we have to stay consistent. That's pretty much the final note of my podcast, my show for today. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, or subscribe to my platform, and I'll see you guys in a bit.